Good morning. We're going to wait a couple more minutes and let people trickle in, but we're excited to get started very shortly. Good morning.
Good morning. Nikhita, good morning.
Good morning. This mug was maybe a little too big. All right, we'll give everybody one more minute and then we'll kick things off. All right,
We can go for it. You ready?
Do it.
Okay.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first Coffee and Compliance of 2021. We are going to be talking about careers in the building materials industry and environmental compliance with Nikhita. Today, Nikhita, who is an environmental engineer from Graniterock, will be sharing her insight and her journey in the industry. So, before we get started, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Celine. I'm a customer success manager here at Mapestry.
And my name is Jillian, and I'm the compliance solutions manager. And both of us work within the customer experience team here at Mapestry. Now, for those of you who are current customers on the call today, you may have worked with our customer success or services, or maybe even both of us. However, this year we've launched our customer experience team, which is a combination of both of our teams. So Celine and I, along with the rest of customer experience, or CX, are working together to better support our customers and provide a more seamless experience for you.
Yes, we are so excited to be working together. We already live together, so it makes everything really easy and COVID safe. But this year we will be taking over for Ryan as co-host, and we are so excited about all the features we have coming up. So let's dive into it.
So quickly, for those of you who are new to Mapestry, we are an environmental compliance platform on the software side for industrial facilities. Mapestry focuses on providing transparency, promoting collaboration, ensuring efficiency, and finally creating accountability.
Exactly. We are a data-driven platform that helps monitor, analyze, and track all of companies' environmental compliance needs. So now let's dive into it. Today we have Nikhita joining us. She is an environmental engineer at Graniterock. We worked with Nikhita before. She's been with Graniterock for over a year. She received a bachelor's degree in civil engineering at the University of Santa Clara. Nikhita and her team helped us roll out Mapestry to a couple of Graniterock sites here in California. And we have had a wonderful time working with Nikhita, and I'm so excited to have you joining us. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into a few questions for you and get going. So the first question we have for you, in general, if you could tell us a bit about yourself, and as well as what your career path has looked like, and what does a career in the building materials industry look like?
Sure. So like you mentioned, I graduated with a civil engineering degree from Santa Clara, and I emphasized in water resources and environmental engineering. So I already knew this was kind of the stuff that I wanted to be doing. I just didn't know what it would look like. And so after I graduated college, I saw this opening for an environmental engineer at Graniterock, and I said, it's probably a good idea. So I applied and I got the position and everything. And my first year at Graniterock was a lot of just learning how Graniterock does business, how all of our industrial sites work, how our quarry operates, and then also learning all of the environmental policies and how that applies to how we do business.
Yeah, and can you expand a little bit more on what a career in building materials industry looks like? I know you said that you were new to it, but I'd love to hear, was it anything you expected, or was it just different than anything you had expected, I guess?
I think coming out of college and doing a bunch of environmental stuff in college, I kind of expected one thing and didn't realize that an environmental position and an industrial company would be so different. And I think the main difference was I didn't realize that it would be so heavy on policy and not so much on like designing something, which is what like my engineering background was all about. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, that I was able to figure it out pretty quickly. And then from there, I think it's all been good.
Awesome.
Definitely. That's great. So another question for you, how does your role impact Graniterock's environmental compliance programs?
So as an environmental engineer at Graniterock, we're kind of like, I guess, like the experts in environmental policy. Not that I would say I'm an expert, but that's like the role that we're supposed to act as. We're supposed to provide support in all of our environmental policies to all of our industrial sites. So I have 4 industrial sites that I kind of look over. And so I provide environmental support for them, answer any questions that they might have and how they want to do business and how that impacts environmental policies. And it was very interesting for me being thrust into like this kind of semi-management position where I had to look over a bunch of people, but I was also still learning everything. So that was a little bit of a shock, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm guessing, so now being that you've been there for a year, how has it been? Is it improving for you, getting a little bit easier, new challenges?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all of the people I work with are super helpful, and most of them have the mentality of just tell us what to do and we'll get it done, which I appreciate. So they're always willing to work with us, which has been awesome. So yeah, it's been a good transition.
Nice.
That's great.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to jump into another question. What are some key skills you need to be successful within this industry and within environmental compliance as a whole?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a couple. I think the biggest for me was just being open and able to learn everything. Like I said, my first year was mostly just figuring out what was happening and how, and like understanding environmental policies. So the biggest thing was just being able to learn at first and like figure it all out, and then see how that applies to what we do. And then, yeah, like I said, just understanding laws and policies. Like, I think because of my education, I was able to get that a little bit easier. Like, I'm able to read a law and figure out how that applies to what we do. But that's definitely like a big part of the job. And being able to do that is kind of difficult. And just keeping up with changing requirements. I think you guys are aware that environmental policies change like pretty much every day. So being able to with that and see how like what applies to your business and how that'll change how you do things was really important. And then lastly was just being able to work with different types of people. Like for me, I'm an engineer, so I understand like all the engineering background of a lot of things, but a lot of people I work with are not engineers, like they're just like salespeople or they operate a plant or something. And so they might not necessarily understand what an environmental policy means if they just read the law. So it's my job to interpret the law and then help them understand what they need to do from the business side.
Definitely. Yeah, I think Celine and I can relate to that. Like within that first year, anyone being in this type of industry, you need to like get familiar with what are these regulations that you're dealing with? What exactly do they say? And sometimes that means having to go through it like multiple times. Like you mentioned, like just the first aspect. The second aspect is being able to interpret that in a way that other people can genuinely like understand and like understand why they're doing what they're doing. For this regulation, like why is it even? So yeah, definitely we can totally relate to that. But after a year, it sounds like you are more comfortable with it and it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, I think after a year, I've become comfortable with like the basics, so like the IGP, understanding like the basic hazmat laws. That was mostly my first year, but now I kind of understand what that is, and now I can build on that knowledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's super important.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question for you.
Okay.
You have any success stories from this role that you can maybe share with us today?
Yeah, I think very topical was implementing Mapestry. That was that was a big part of my first year, and I think that honestly, just implementing Mapestry and being able to understand like what inspections the teams are supposed to be doing, that actually really helped me understand how my branches work and who does the inspections, how they operate, all that stuff. So I think Mapestry, not only for the branches was it really helpful, it was also really helpful for me just figuring everything out. But for Mapestry, what we did was I have 4 branches that I look over. So I spent a full month at each branch implementing Mapestry. So doing trainings with the teams and helping them figure out how they want to use Mapestry and helping them use like the app and going on inspections with them. That was what I spent each month doing at each branch. And I think coming out of it, I think I can say that everyone is very comfortable using Mapestry and really, really enjoys the way it's set up and how they can like see exactly what they need to be doing on a certain day. And it's not confusing at all for them. They understand like what the inspections are and what they're trying to get out of it, which is great. So yeah, I mean, Mapestry was a big success story for me.
That's great.
So happy.
Yeah.
Is there any one part of Mapestry that you think that, people that you work with that they really, they always use, or that is like their favorite feature or something like that?
I think the biggest thing is just being able to see all the inspections that need to get done. And we set it up in a way that we have specific people assigned to each inspection at each branch, so that they're very clear on what their role and responsibility is in terms of environmental compliance. But I mean, just seeing a green check mark every month is like huge. That way, I mean, even for me, like just knowing that inspections are getting done was a huge first step, because before what we were doing was we were doing binders with all the inspections all printed out and that kind of stuff. And so I would show up at a branch and who knows where the binder is, if anyone had even completed the inspections. And so now with Mapestry, like the team is actually taking accountability. Like if they see a red X or something, they'll go out and reach out to the person who's supposed to be doing that and figure out why it wasn't done, if they need help or anything. For me to see that, like I know exactly who to go to now. So I mean, it's really changed how we do environmental compliance at our branches, I think, and definitely for the better.
Awesome.
That's
I
so
love
good to
that.
hear.
Yeah, that's really good. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you guys use the assign an inspection form feature that's with our new task feature that allows you to assign multiple or 1 or 2 people to an inspection form or a task?
Yeah, I've kind of started doing that. I think it automatically did that a little bit, so that was helpful. But yeah, I mean that's a really big thing too. Is just being able to see exactly who's doing the inspection. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah, and just like one more follow-up question, like how long did it take about like to kind of roll out your whole teams at each facility in total? Like for each of them, did it vary? Trying to get them set up with Mapestry and whatnot?
Yeah, so I think all 4 of my facilities are a little bit different in size. So we started off with our Redwood City branch, was just one of my biggest branches. And they have like everything going on there. They have the concrete plant, asphalt plant, recycle, building materials, they have everything. So that branch took the month and then a little more, just like kind of background work. But I think in terms of like the other branches that were a little bit smaller, some of them only took 2 weeks, and then the other 2 weeks I could just spend doing inspections with them, just helping them figure it out. But yeah, I mean, like I said, everyone was super responsive to it and was really excited to use Mapestry. So that really helped.
That's great. Yeah, definitely having a team that's on board with you. They're like, yes, let's do this, let's go. That always helps the process, I would say. So that's awesome. It sounds like you work with
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it definitely takes a team effort and team engagement to get it out and rolled out well. So
100%, yeah. Mhm.
great. Cool. Let's move on to the next question. Jumping back to more of your industry, I guess what's one piece of advice you give somebody looking to grow a career in the building materials industry or environmental compliance as a whole?
I think just be open to change, be open to new things. Like, but I mean, I think I've already talked about this, but environmental compliance changes literally every day. So, being open to learning new things all the time is going to be very important. And just, I think in building materials in general, things are changing all the time. There's always new ways business is being done, new ways to make concrete. So, yeah, just being open to changing things happening every day.
Yeah. Can you give one example of like one time you had to be open to change or something that kind of came up unexpectedly and how you managed that?
Ooh.
Sorry, putting you on the spot.
Ooh. I mean, I think in general, just like at our quarry, we always have something changing, some new piece of equipment or something like that. I think we had one situation where we were putting in like bag houses on one of our conveyors, and it was like a new permit. So in that permit, we have to do method 22 inspections every quarter. And so that was the new thing that was added onto my plate, was I had to drive down to the quarry every quarter and do these inspections for 30 minutes at a time for 2 of them. So that was interesting. And the only time it operates is in the afternoon after like 3:30. So that was fun.
Yeah, fun and new. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but that's good. And I think your advice is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question for you. We know now, like, of course, that you use Mapestry for environmental compliance, but are there any types of, technologies that you guys utilize for your facility that kind of assist in environmental compliance, or just anything else, or is Mapestry kind of your go-to at the moment?
Yeah, no, I think Mapestry is like a catch-all. It does everything. So yeah, we use Mapestry mostly for everything.
That's awesome. So when it comes to like analyzing your data, can you walk us through how you use Mapestry for that and like what you're looking at and what is important to capture when you're talking maybe with like somebody else who's not at a site level, but maybe at a more of like a corporate level?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of data do you use and how does Mapestry help with that?
Yeah, so we have monthly meetings with each of our LRPs at all of our sites. And so what we do with them is we just go through the main page and show them that, there's green check marks on each inspection, as there should be. And that's like the biggest thing. But I think after a couple months of using Mapestry, everyone's pretty comfortable with that. So in general, we usually are good to go at the end of each month. But the other big thing is looking at corrective actions or tasks and seeing how long they've been open and how many we're creating in a month and how many have been closed out already. That's been a really good way to track like what changes we're doing on our sites, and it's been helpful for the LRPs as well.
Yeah, totally. I think corrective actions and inspection completions are 2 really big things that we look at. It can tell us a lot about how a facility is doing.
Yeah.
And being that you have the 4 facilities, is there any like one part of the feature that is the most, I know you have the inspections, but there's like the org admin, do you utilize that a lot for your different facilities?
I personally don't. I know a lot of our management does. For me, I'm really focusing on making sure that the teams are getting their inspections done and on time. So I think for me, it's just been helpful to look at that main page and see what's going on.
It definitely gives you a quick overview of everything that's happening, and you can quickly be like, okay, something's missing, something's not
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, to kind of expand on this Mapestry conversation, I guess our last question for you is just what is one success case or use case where Mapestry really was beneficial for your company, either in the field or with your managers? Just kind of anything you have to share about like your experience and success, I guess, with Mapestry.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've already talked about Mapestry enough.
Yeah, you really have.
No, I mean, it's been really helpful. Our southern branches, so the other environmental engineer, Josh, he manages a lot of our southern branches. So in like the Santa Cruz and Monterey Bay Area. So his sites don't have Mapestry, and he's still using the binder to do all the inspections. And for him, he has to, for some of his sites, he has to go out and actually do the inspections with the team or just do the inspections on his own. And I think for me, I don't have to do that. Like my team is so comfortable using Mapestry and they understand what inspections need to get done. And so that's been like a huge change. Just a year ago, like I was having to do the same thing, like just make sure that they were getting the inspections done and be there and help them do that. And so I think just the way that my job operates has kind of changed because of that. Like I'm able to do more of like environmental stuff rather than doing the inspections with them.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. And I feel like having that time back is really beneficial because then you guys can keep improving your programs and making sure you're up to date on all the changes.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of time saved.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's really beneficial as well having someone like you to be able to like take care of all of these foresights, know how to utilize Mapestry, be kind of that main point of contact for everybody.
Yeah.
So questions come up, they can go to you directly, which is super awesome. And I think that like having you for all four of the facilities is probably really amazing for them. So I'm sure they're great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we have a little bit of time left, so I kind of want to dive back into your career and see kind of if you have any other feedback or things that the industry is changing, any advice for people who are starting to come up, any changes that you see coming within this industry and within environmental compliance in your role in the next year or two. I know we've had a lot of changes with the administration, so I'd be curious to get your opinion on that.
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be changes with the new administration, like you said. I don't know enough to know what will change.
Yeah, totally. No worries.
But, we're all of us like just being prepared and work, like having the good team that works together. Your team works well, our team, everybody, we'll be able to take in these changes no problem.
Yeah, and we'll keep you
exactly.
Okay, well, I think with that we can go ahead and wrap up. It's been super wonderful having you. Thanks for
you.
all of our questions.
Yeah.
Being super honest and transparent with us. I really appreciate it. I'm sure the people on our call today appreciate it as well. So thank you.
Yeah, so please join us next week. We'll be talking to Jordan, who works with Tesla, and we'll be hearing about her EHS career advice and anything else she has to share with us. So we're super excited.
Yeah, and if anybody on the call today has any other questions, comments, or suggestions for us, feel free to shoot us an email at info@mapestry.com. Yes. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And again, thank you so much, Nikhita.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
It was wonderful to talk to you and hear your insight, and we're excited to see where you go from here.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Welcome. And with that, happy Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. We will see you next week.
All right.